Good evening, everyone. Tonight we will be watching the quarterfinals of the winter tournament. We have a great matchup with Chanigan and fryteeth. In the booth with me, we have Classic Gamer. How are you doing tonight?
I am doing pretty good. I am excited for this matchup, and boy, this is an interesting party here.
Yeah, we got the two Force Thieves, which is quite an interesting matchup.
Indeed, and we see that Chanigan has gone with the Black Mage, and Fryteeth has gone with the White Mage. Now, our blessings are the fighter has plus 20 vitality, the Thieves resist poison, earth, death, time, and status. Black Belts, which we will not be seeing, can equip shirts. Red Mages can equip axes. That White Mage has Telemagic, which is pretty nice, and the Black Mage has Clean Magic.
Yeah, here, a Black Mage makes sense because you definitely want to guarantee that you can get fast with the double melee that you are forced to have. But Telemagic is one of the best blessings. So I think I would take fryteeth's party in this case.
It'll be interesting to see what they have available early, especially in Canary as far as recruitment goes, because I wonder if we see like a White Mage or a Black Mage there, basically the other mage, if someone won't re-roll to basically go double thief, white, black.
Yeah, also want to give a big thank you shout out to Fabian Hawk doing streams and Usalita doing the tracking and buttons.
Yes, keeping us on comms honest. So runners started about 9 minutes ago, so we're probably maybe a minute out, maybe a little less. So I think we're in for a treat tonight.
You know, double thieves make it a little bit easier to run. With this flag set, we have a ton of map edits on, which make it very possible to do a lot of running. We see early Sky a lot because of Shuffle Chime Lock and because you can just walk to it. So all you need is a cube, and then you can dive Sky and get the incentive there. Having double thieves makes it way easier to get through difficult dungeons like that early because of running. And it also means that encounter manipulation isn't quite as crucial. Although, with the runners of caliber we see tonight, we will be seeing some encounter manipulation, I think.
I would be very surprised if we did not. It's all the map edits, some of the other flags we've had, some throughout the tournament, Airboat being one of the newer, most notable flags, and we're off. See, there is a fighter available in Canary, and nothing of interest in White Magic, and
Temper
no
level
sweepers.
1.
Yes, no sweepers, but some nice early magic, sorry.
Yeah, temper level 1 is good to see when you have two thieves, because it means that even if you don't have an early fast, you at least have a way to buff them up.
That is true. You love seeing temper early. It's actually got glove plus 4. That's some pretty good armor early on for really anyone.
Yeah, and with the fighter in recruitment, it has plus 20 vitality, which is a huge buff for the fighter, and would be an auto take for me if I didn't already have two thieves. In which case, I'm probably on the lookout for a second mage.
I suspect that's what the runners are on the lookout as well. So we have fryteeth entering Toph and maybe taking a misstep there, but heading over to see what is in the chests.
The first chest, we have a shard with two Gur Imps. It's good to see a chest like this early. Oh, fryteeth got a little bit more unlucky with 3 Gur Imps and a werewolf. But getting a shard early like this is really helpful in terms of XP scaling. We have every 8 shards gives plus 50% to XP scaling. And as has been pointed out and becoming more common knowledge recently, each shard does have its own little boost. It's not you reach the threshold of 8 shards to get the full 50% bonus.
All right.
Instead,
Yep. David Hawk in chat pointing out every shard is 6.25%. And we have another early shard, so this is good for some early experience boosts.
I'd also like to point out our excellent new tracking icons, which also include a shard count. So you can always look down there and see what the shards are. Chanigan first finding the second shard up in the 2-pack, and fryteeth also finding it. Chanigan saving outside first, because you don't want to have to go back and get those shards again, because they do take a while.
They do. Now Chanigan taking on Garland. No way to buff up the thieves because the Black Mage is down, but they are doing decent damage. I mean, large knife +3 is not bad early on.
A restreamer pointing out in chat that fryteeth ended up opting out of the second shard, which could be the play here. It takes a lot longer to get those shards early on, and you could come back to Topher right at the end when you just need one more shard. It is at the cost of that early XP scaling.
That is true. We got a canal from the king and a rod from the princess.
That's pretty good to see. You don't want to get a ship and then just be stuck in the inner sea. And the rod is nice because it usually lends itself to good proximity plays.
That is true.
It's really annoying when it's the last item.
Oh, yes, it is. Of course, what also is sometimes worse is a last item or close to it, because it can't really be the last is the key, but that was in the shop in Canaria, and Chanigan, I love this play, is checking out Canaria Lock to see what we have.
I noticed a light axe inside of Canaria Treasury, which for Chanigan is not super immediately useful, except in taking out these undead that just showed up in the trapped chest. Unfortunately, will not be able to be used again because of the mute that went out. fryteeth, on the other hand, because we have improved harm for White Mage, will be able to use the improved harm and the light axe to hit anything with a free sweeper. So that makes up a bit for the lack of sweepers in level 1.
That is true. Ironically, it's the White Mage who has the early sweeper access. But of course, you need to not be muted to use that light axe, or paralyzed for that matter. We've got vanilla touches, and boy, there's annoying. We've got an herb out of Castle Canaria, so that's interesting. That begs the play of, do you want to head down to visit the elves?
Yeah, a lot of these flags, set seeds that we've seen recently end up pushing the runners to go northeast really early on. But with the way the randomizer has randomized things, we might see a little bit more counterclockwise movement around the southern continent. A little bit more similar to a typical flag set.
Chanigan is not taking the herb bait. He is heading over to Provoca to see what the pirates have. I like this play because that's usually a free item, and you get to see what is at level 2.
At level 2 white. Oh, Chanigan picking up a White Mage at the tavern in Provoca, and immediately being able to pick up White Magic. And there we have our sweeper. We have Nuke, which makes Ice 2 and Ice 3 basically useless on that level, and also picking up Bane because it is useful. Now I see a better look of White Magic. There was Fog 2 there.
And also Lamp. We have improved Dark on in this flag, and Ice 3 can actually outroll Nuke against some enemies, especially those annoying large packs of waters that show up sometimes.
Right, it's one of those spells where it's, do you spend the extra money early on when money is hard to come by to get the spell that is very useful in the one situation, but isn't certainly one you're going to need? Chanigan taking and moving the light axe over to the White Mage, you definitely want to take advantage of the free harm too.
Definitely, because has been pointed out, that is free AoE. And the let's see. And I
We
love
picked up
or-
the Octiel from Vicky, which is interesting because we do have the Octiel and Key, so it's possible that we just pick up the ship and then are forced into an early sea dive. But in the meanwhile, Herb is the only progression available, so we are going to be heading over to Elfland, possibly checking the dwarf chests along the way, Chanigan skipping the dwarf chests.
That is only 2 chests, but sometimes you get something good in those. We'll see if Fryteeth also skips the dwarf check.
I think in this case it makes a little bit more sense to skip it than usual. Because of the way the items have played out, it is very likely that we will get an item in dwarves soon.
I have to agree, and then you, even going in a little bit, you hate the double dip. So we'll see what the Elf Prince has for us today.
Meanwhile, Fryteeth found 2 Opal +4 shields inside of dwarves, while Chanigan finds the cube from the Elf Prince. Now, those Opal +4s are completely useless unless you recruit a fighter, but they can be sold for a whole lot of money.
That's true, and a Rune +4 sword for Chanigan out of Elf Armory, that is pretty nice, because those thieves can use that, and that gets a nice bonus, including against a bunch of bosses, such as Lich's can carry.
Yeah, and one nice thing about getting Key early on is that you can pick up shards in all the treasuries and other locked rooms as you go, which might be a decent reason to go and dive dwarves now, because you do have telling magic, both of our runners, so they can get out of there quite easily. I also noticed the rune sword coming out of treasury in Elfland, which is quite good.
Level 3 Brack, I'm seeing. Both those who wanting that sky play or that sea play, Brack is very useful. And we have exit for sale at level 3, and that will actually be ninja learnable.
Yeah, I agree with you, Fabian. This seed is looking out to be a pretty fun one. And with the cube, we do know that my prediction about getting the ship and having an early Oxiale sea dive is incorrect. We will be having another typical early skydive, because that is now the only place where we can find progression. But we will get to see the 2 thieves in action in being able to navigate quickly through sky and running away quickly.
That is true. That's going to be very useful, and especially Chanigan has the Black Mage. That's also a pretty good runner.
Right, especially early on with the lower levels. Eventually, at around 22, I was told the other characters catch up in running ability, but for an early on ability to run while going through sky, it is very useful.
And
Yeah,
Fryteeth. Oops. Go ahead.
Fryteeth's play of getting taking the Black Mage early on paid off really well with the White Mage being available in Provoca. So far, Chanigan hasn't had an opportunity to pick up a Black Mage. And I don't know if we've seen yet, but the Black Mage does have clean magic, which could have a number of good spells, or mediocre spells.
Not sure. It was pointed out in chat. Spiders with Thunder. Thought Danny had the day off, and it was correct. It is a Fizzle seed. But Danny probably gave Fizzle lessons. I don't know. Chanigan heading his way up to Lefame because we can walk there. So he's actually going to be able to check out all the magic. Or at least most of it, except for the Gaia magic. Although most of it's not too useful right now.
I noticed Chanigan has a Black Mage now. Did Lefine have a Black Mage, or was that in Elfland?
I am not sure, actually.
I don't think Chanigan checks the tavern inside of Lefine, so I guess it must have been in Elfland. And Fryteeth is taking on a pack of 4 imps, which is interesting. I'm assuming it's for getting a little bit of gold to buy a thing. Or I guess not, just decided to take the fight instead of running.
But sometimes if you wipe them out quickly, I could see that being a little faster. Well, Chanigan's doing what is something of a pop grind outside of Lefane, taking down some trolls earlier, now some zombols.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts about Bridge to Lefine is that it makes a pop grind much more viable.
Yeah,
And those zombies are nice.
Yes. Yeah, that Lefanian hospitality line, you can just hop in there and
get all your spells back.
Yep. Getting a few more levels will, of course, mean some more spell charges and access to some of the higher level spells as well.
Fryteeth now also checking out the magic, finding Fate at level 4, I don't know if that was mentioned, and Heal 3.
Yep, level 4 was loaded.
Also picking up level 1 Temper. And we are about to dive into Sky. But first we're burning off an encounter. Or I think 2 encounters? 3 encounters?
Like I said earlier, I'd be surprised if there was no RNG manipulation here. So far, we're getting some, pretty good bunch of money here.
Yeah, I think those 3 encounters were right off the hard reset, which is incredible for encounter manipulation because it means you can just hard reset, get those 3 encounters out of the way, and then for the rest of the about 200 steps, there's only going to be 1 encounter.
It also makes overworld grinds much more viable.
Right, that's a big thing too. And also having them bunched up like that makes it easier to tell where in the encounter table you are in dungeons, which isn't the most useful information, but as the level of play gets higher, the small little things that you do with taking fights in specific spots can have a bigger impact in optimization. And these runners, I think, do have the skill to take advantage of that.
Well, Chanigan is taking out a bunch of... he actually runs. Those are good experience, but is it worth the time cost? That is always the question.
Mechlin pointing out in chat that we did see fast at level 8 in Lefine, which is gross.
That is very gross.
We will be able to learn it, assuming we promote to Black Wizard, but it's not something you want to see in a double thief seed. We found the Thor hammer on Chanigan's side in Sky, and one thing that I like about skydives is that even though you have to slug through it early on with not much, there are lots of eyes and trap chests and other high experience monsters, and you usually end up walking out near level 20.
Fryteeth, meanwhile, is in Gaia finds Pro Rings +5 for sale. Death protection for those that don't already have it, and, pretty good armor. He's actually down to 2 party members, but looks like he is going to res them. The oh-so-convenient Gaia Clinic.
That has thieves for hire if you wanted one. Fryteeth is opting to leave one of the thieves damned, which is a good play if you want to get as much EXP as possible. It means that Fryteeth will have slightly more problems running from enemies in Sky than Chanigan will, though. So it's a trade-off you have to make. Easier time now, or stronger party later.
That is very true. Fryteeth, meanwhile, is heading up through Mirage, while Chanigan, I'm not sure what floor of Sky he is on. He is
that
on
is
everyone's
the
Sky
first
one.
floor of Sky. Meanwhile, I don't think Chanigan checked greater than less than room, but Fryteeth is. Although, His party is being wiped out by a pack of vampires, and he needed to reset out. Chanigan checking out the 4-pack at CC's Gambit. No marked boxes, but a whole lot of money, and I think that was it, except maybe some XP. I wasn't quite sure about that.
I just saw money. Heading over to check the 6-pack now. Meanwhile, Fryteeth is doing a little encounter manip to... Or maybe he's going to try to take on some steak and wings for a little more experience.
Fortunately, the wings has a script and touch that makes it not good to grind. Maybe, if we're lucky, we can find a blue steak. At least this one that has just a tyro is better than having the wings there casting spells on it.
That is very true. One thing about the touches is Death Touch is non-elemental for whatever reason, so when they get to those sorcerers and Chanigan is just a floor or two away, that Death Touch could really do a number on them, like we've seen many times this tournament already.
Indeed. Guy not having an awful lot of shards, although I think Chanigan skipped the spider floor and has not found the incentive just yet. But already at 6 shards. That is what an early Sky does.
Yes, that is very true. So to see if he goes back down to try to get the incentive, or if he goes up to try to take out Tia, although right now with the Black Mage down, that might be a little trickier without Bane and Brack.
Indeed. Our casting items are being used, though. We have our primary thief with the rune sword doing lots of melee damage, the white mage with the light axe, and Soup with the Thor hammer. It's quite a great party.
It's true, Mancats don't seem to have much of anything, so sure, while there was just everything except time, they don't exactly have a ton of HP.
Yeah, it is unfortunate that Chanigan can no longer use Nuke, though. And there is the ship, which opens up a lot of things.
Yes, indeed, and Chanigan is going to take that ship and head on out of there. He can go back up for the 4 shards for Tia later if he so desires.
And the spider floor shards.
That is also true. So
it's always nice when it doesn't land there.
Yes. You really hate digging your way through spider floor. But you see if he ends up like 4 or 5 short, how many, whether he heads back up in the sky.
Meanwhile, fryteeth just finished with his grind and is now going into Sky with a bit of a stronger party with more nuke charges. Chanigan showing excellent encounter manipulation to burn off those 3 encounters once again.
And Wheelbarrow in chat, Anrak on the table too, right? Yes, it is, although I think Earth is the more proximity play, so I think Chanigan will probably go to Earth.
Yeah, and the free item in Crescent Lake is also available, but it might be worth waiting until we get either Floater or the Canoe. And in chat, we have a question. How do shards work, and what are they for? So the basic way that they work is that instead of needing to get 4 orbs to go into Topher, instead you need a set number of shards that has been increasing throughout the tournament as a very nice way to make it harder. And we also have scaling with experience with shards. Each shard gives about 6% to your experience scaling. And in this flag set, shards are all in marked boxes that you need to fight a pack of local enemies for, which creates some very interesting strategies.
Now, Fryteeth wiped out of Sky. Bad men were bad.
Indeed. Chanigan finding some good camping gear with cheap tents inside of Crescent Lake. Finds life too. which he picks up. It's great to have life.
We also see Fire 3, Lightning 3, and Lock at level 6. Those aren't bad spells, but when you have level 2 Nuke, they aren't as useful.
And we find the adamant. It is time to go to Dwarf Cave. And we do have the key. So I wonder if our runners will go and check Dwarf Locked right away, or wait until they get the TNT.
Of course, for all we know, we have lazy dwarves. So we'll see where Chanigan goes. Looks like he's heading towards Onrak.
Yeah, get the difficult dungeons out early. It's a risky strategy, but there is great reward in being able to take on the difficult enemies there. You have 2 thieves that can absorb a ton of damage with their extremely high evasiveness. And you have Nuke.
That
and
is
also
true.
just picked up life too.
Also true. Interesting, we do not have the canoe that I've seen, so it cannot check out Waterfall.
And it's interesting how, because of the map edits, Canoe can be pushed surprisingly far into logic, sometimes even happening after Floater, restricting areas such as Waterfall and Ordeals until very late game. We also haven't seen Chime or Chime Bonk yet.
That is quite true. It's kind of funny when you see a Chime Bonk. Fryteeth, meanwhile, is up on Sky 3, is clearing out CC's Gambit, so he's going to find his ship pretty shortly.
Meanwhile, Chanigan going through into Mermaid's Floor and finding a trapped box and another one right next to it with shards. And you might be thinking, why are rock ghouls in C? There aren't rock ghouls in C. But because there are no encounters on this floor, the local encounters include a table that were made not from the encounters that you can find here, but I believe by our devs, and they were nice enough to put some rock ghouls here to give us plenty of experience.
Lobsters are not as nice, but we get the crystal out of mermaids.
Meanwhile, Fryteeth just picked up the ship and it looks like is immediately exiting out. Oh no, just warping to get to the 6-pack faster. After which we will either see a Tiamat kill attempt or exit out. And I think it is possible that we see a Tiamat attempt because Fryteeth has grinded his party far more than Chanigan did when he dived Sky. And it could be the way that Fryteeth catches up to Chanigan. Because if he can take out Tia, then he won't have to come back to Sky to get those shards later.
Meanwhile, Chanigan carbonates bubbles. Thank you, Chanigan.
And carbonation is always fun to see. That and her right Adorbs.
That is very true. And yes, both Ale and Hate, excuse me, Ale and Fabian in Hate's memory. Yes.
Fryteeth found some sandworms and is taking them on for the experience. Fryteeth did exit out after checking out the 6-pack, which is respectable. Tiamat is very strong with these flags.
That is very true, and 3 of her abilities have elements that the thieves do not resist, notably fire, ice, and lightning.
Right. Thief resists everything except for those things. So the thief still needs a ribbon for that. Chanigan on his way to get a start on all of the fetch chains that have been set up. Starting with the adamant, and then likely the crystal, and possibly the rod. And Chanigan immediately left the room that had the 2 chests after seeing that neither of them were marked. Chanigan is in a bit of a go mode, does not think that he needs more items, and is just trying to get shards.
Well, he does need the loot. But equipment he might not need more of. The core
He
sword
is
plus
going ahead
4 is
and
nice.
checking out these chests, finding the mage stick, the ice sword, and I think the fire sword I saw. So I think it worked out even though there weren't any shards there.
Also got a coral sword plus 4, which is a great weapon for that thief, especially if he wants to go take on Kraken.
Right, it was the coral sword, not the fire sword.
Yeah.
And Chanigan, remembering that the map edit that moved the bridge to Lethene means that you cannot go to the Matoya dock, which is the most annoying part of that flag. So instead, Chanigan is opting to encounter manip his way there.
Great, we will see what Matoya has shortly.
And meanwhile, fryteeth is going to go and dive Earth. And it's the chime.
Right, so whatever the chime bonk is, we won't care, but it is not Earth because fryteeth is diving Earth.
And it's still possible that fryteeth finds the chime bonk, but it has become very unlikely. Mazamoon in Matoya's chest. This is why you always check Matoya even before you have the crystal guys. The Mazamoon is always there.
Alright, so that is a huge pickup for Chanigan. He's, don't even need to worry about the katana so much now, unless it also rolled plus 5.
Yeah, and Chanigan is keeping both thieves up, so finding a katana would actually be quite great. You can have 2 legendary weapon thieves. And I just want to point out how quickly they are able to run, along with the first strike bonus.
That is true. Rage and Nacho in chat, that is a game changer. Yes, it is. It is not the game changer. We haven't seen that yet, but it is a game changer.
And Chanigan picking up Cure 4 at level 5, which is good to see. Copper bracelets, but no bonus to them, so not really worth it. And I agree with Red Mage in chat, the alt music is very nice.
fryteeth making his way down to the Earth Armory. We will somewhere either here or Lich's Closet, we will have an incentive. And a black shirt plus 3 is nice.
Chanigan getting the ruby, checking out the incentive there, poking out at the end of Titan's tunnel to be able to use exit or warp, which does save some steps. It is a great strategy to use if you have telemagic, because Chanigan will want to check out Sarda right after. And in the incentive chest, we have the floater!
Another big find! And of course, we don't need the canoe to get that floater because we've got airboat. So as soon as he gets it back to the ship, he can take off.
Meanwhile, fryteeth finds the slab. Although I do want to point out one more thing about getting the floater there. That was the one item that put the foil in the plan of exiting out to save steps. Because now it's faster to just go back, use the floater to talk to Sarda, which Chanigan does, and finds the crown. Which is a good place to find it because of proximity. It's only a short flight over, but you know it's even more close? It's Earth.
That is true. Now, because this is Shard Hunt, we don't necessarily need to light the Earth orb, but it is 2 shards, plus whatever he finds in chests. And speaking of Earth, fryteeth is about to come up to Lich, fight, fade, and nuke. That's a pretty good strategy for Lich. He Fryteeth did not do too much, but Nuke and Fade do some damage. But we've got 160 to 200 scaling, so Lich is still here. And he actually gets out his ice too. And Lich fades away.
Those 2 shards are very nice. Fryteeth only having 3 before this. I think Fryteeth is slightly higher level than Chanigan because of the early grind, but I think that Chanigan's strategy of getting a ton of shards early on might be paying off now in the higher XP scaling.
I agree. You know, a little behind on levels now, but being ahead on shards will help him catch up there.
And Toontown Veteran in chat discovering that we do have a Discord server. It is a very great Discord server. It is where we organize events such as this one and do broadcasts. So come on over, we'll teach you how to play. And we also have the Duckling Bootcamp coming up for our new players, where our veterans will teach us how to beat them. It will be very fun.
That's true. We saw the Masa at work there. If you blink and miss it, the vampire is gone. Not that that requires a Masa, but it happened this time.
Yeah, the vampire is not much of a threat. We already fought packs of them while going through Sky. And while one of those packs did cause a problem early on, since then we've gone gear and levels. And finding the black shirt on Chanigan's side, which is nice, although now we do have more casts of our other magic.
Great. Fryteeth is picking up his animate now.
Chanigan also checking Lich's closet. Usually I end up skipping Lich's closet, but because of the high shard count requirement, it is worth going for. And there is a shard here to reward his efforts.
Not to mention some annoying undead with their stun touch, but Nuke comes out and that will be the end of that.
And with these flags, I think our shard count is being randomized to be between 24 and 32. I don't know where this game has landed, but I am assuming rather high. Fryteeth, I'm assuming is going to pick up magic. I don't know what else he could be doing.
He's translated the slab and he's going to see what Lefane
right.
has. And it's the
Didn't see the slab on
tail.
top. Tail is good to see.
That is so true, especially when Fast landed level 8. You really love to see that tail.
Yeah, and normally you don't have much use of level 8 fast this early on, but the Black Mage does have the Blursing that gives the 2 free charges with the clean magic. So once you learn fast, you get 2 charges right away, and then if you level up your Black Mage far enough, even better, you start counting up from there.
And I did not see what Astos had, I just saw that Chanigan didn't care. Xcal, oh yeah, we do not care about that. That's just vendor.
Yeah, I was thinking it had to be a gear item, but Defense Sword and Power Bonk would both be extremely useful for the thieves. So all that makes sense is it being the X-Cow.
Right, Fryteeth has promoted, so he's sailing off. He does not have that floater yet. It'll be interesting to see when he gets it, of course. Theoretically, with all these map edits, we might be able to get through this game without the floater, depending on, if we have something like a loot in order. Well, we need the canoe for that.
Chanigan also finding the tail.
And one thing the Bridge to Lefane does is makes it a lot more convenient to land close to Lefane.
That is the best part of that flag change. Just like how the best part of airboat is being able to land right there at Ordeals, and the best part of Northern Docks is that you can use airboats to land there to skip the walking.
Chanigan is now heading to promote. He's also going to check out Cardia Isles for any more shards.
And I think I saw the total shard count as being just 24. Oh no, there's a couple more rows than that. It was pretty high. Oh, fryteeth picking up a silver +5 bracelet, which I did not notice the first time when Chanigan went to Titan's Trove.
Yep, that is a very nice piece of armor, and of course, fryteeth doesn't know it, but he's about to get his floater.
And Chanigan is now leading the way into the Cardia Isles, which is a great spot to get experience and find an incentive item.
Not to mention find some shards. And like you pointed out, the great experience because the shards will be guarded by dragons.
Yeah, just like earlier when we were at Mermaid's Floor and there normally aren't encounters there, so the devs put in their own. Right here, they have made the excellent choice of making the dragon place be full of all the different dragon encounters you can get. And most of them give quite a good bit of experience.
Yep, fryteeth is picking up his crown from Sarda. He doesn't know that it is going to turn into something that he doesn't care about yet. Well, she's absolutely desperate for money, but I somehow doubt that.
I don't think fryteeth saw that it was the X-Cow.
I don't think so.
Really quickly. Which, to be honest, is what I usually do. I usually click through and then go like, wait, what did I see there? And only sometimes do I see it. It is an X-Cow +4, so a little bit sad that we don't have any knights to see.
Yes, that would be an excellent weapon for those knights.
Yeah, having the X-Cow be the incentivized legendary weapon is really important to these flag sets because it balances the knight, which would otherwise be a rather underwhelming character compared to all the rest of them. However, tonight it is not about the knight, it is about the thieves.
That is very true. Of course, as has been alluded to earlier when we talked about it, but you have the white ninja flags on and black knight, so the ninja is getting the white magic, so that means Fade, Heal 3, Ruse, Lamp, Wall.
Chanigan finds the canoe in Cardia and now has access to the entire map.
As it pointed out, you can have canoes in some crazy places.
Yeah, it's always great to see in this flag set when canoe is placed in a spot that is only floater accessible. Because that is a thing specific to airboats. Without airboat, you absolutely need to have the canoe to go and raise out of the desert the floater, or the airboat, or the airship, that's what it's called.
Yeah. Chanigan is meanwhile in Volcano checking out the armory because he noticed some marked chests in there.
Yeah, the only sad thing about airboat when it comes to routing is that you no longer have the possibility of getting canoe and floater and getting to skip the ship. But I think it's better this way, because when you get the ship after you have floater, you're not going to use the ship.
Yep. fryteeth also is finding his canoe, and Chanigan found the ruse stick +1 in Volcano Armory. The +1 we don't care about, the free ruse we love.
I'm trying to catch the level that Chanigan is at.
Just fryteeth, having not gone to sea, didn't pick up the crystal and has had no motivation to go to Metoya's. But so he doesn't know that that beautiful Masa +5 is there, and he might not find out for quite a while.
That's true. I had forgotten about the typical Maza at Matoya's.
And indeed, if it's, turns out that the chime block is something we don't care about, like ice, and he figures that out, he might fade Matoya's completely.
That is true. Although Ice Cave is surprisingly useful in this flag set now that the shard count is so high. It is very possible that our runners will need to go there to grab the last couple shards if they are unlucky. It's still better than going to Marsh though.
Just about anywhere is going better than going to Marsh, especially with vanilla touches. Not that ice is too great with those either.
Yeah, I don't know whether I'm on team Never Ice or Never Marsh, but at least in the later game, when the higher, more difficult enemies in Ice aren't any more a problem than the ones in Marsh, I think it is the better play. And again, finding the Power Bonk +5, which is great because I believe it is ninja equipable, and of course, that ninja can now get buffed to the moon with the Maza.
So true, and since the ninja already resists death, it doesn't matter so much as taking the Pro Ring's armor spot either. Right, meanwhile, fryteeth is through the ordeal's pillar maze. Okay, so Chanigan equipping the Ice Sword over the Rune Sword +4. Against Carrie, I'm definitely not sure about that, unless my eyes deceived me there.
Carrie isn't weak to the Rune Sword. At least Carrie 1 isn't.
She is, actually.
Maybe she is. No, never mind, she is. I was confusing with Tiamat 1, which is only weak to dragons, but is weak to Rune Sword in Topher. She is weak to Rune Sword. And the Ice Sword did not swing for very much. I think the Ice Sword is generally stronger in base stats than the Rune Sword, which might be the reason here.
True, but even
found the loot.
Yes, Ordeal is required, and we have a Bane Sword in there, and oh, that's not what you want to see.
Trap chest with sorcerers. They hit the Black Mage resists, and Fade saves the day. Sorry, what were you going to say about the swords again?
I do not remember. I think Rune Sword +4 is actually stronger than a base Ice Sword, but I haven't
think so
checked
too.
that. Alright, Chanigan heading towards Ordeal, so he will find his loot. So it'll be Shards and Go mode for him.
One of my favorite parts of the randomizer in terms of balancing changes, and also this flag set, is that elemental bonus is increased drastically, so that it's not just the 5 extra damage that it was in vanilla, but instead is a game changer that you can base your strategy around.
That is so true. It makes swords like, especially when they roll up like a Rune Sword or a Coral Sword or Dragon Sword, makes them much more valuable.
Yeah, and it means that the X-Cal can sometimes hold its own to the Vorpal.
Before Chaos, anyway. And
Yeah.
David and Hanukkah are pointing out, Volcano is chime locked. So that is interesting. We found our chime block. We don't know if that's going to convince fryteeth to... Well, he's headed towards sea, so he's going to get his crystal and... But, it's a motivation to go to my toes. But after he checks out Waterfall, Chanigan came here without the canoe, so we'll have to see what's in Waterfall. We haven't seen the defense sword yet. I know that off the top of my head. That would be very nice to see.
Yeah, Chanigan might have just gotten an advantage there with having Chime earlier on. However, Volcano did, other than shards, only have a few gear items which were kind of nice, but the incentivized item with the Power Bomb, +5, which while it is great to see, is not completely necessary, especially with level 1 Temper. And Chanigan picking up the loot and in go mode, with almost twice as many shards as Fryteeth.
That is true. And he has that Masa. Fryteeth did pick up a Sun Sword +3, and yeah, that's better than that Falchion +5. I was worried about what Fryteeth was wielding there. I mean, +5 is nice, but it's still a Falchion.
Yeah, so that Sun Sword, even though it's not going to be as great in C as it would be at other locations, will likely be carrying Fryteeth through C until he finds the Maza at Matoya's. And it's the bottle. Which I think with what we know now is just going to be a quest chain that leads to the defense sword. Which is very useful, except for those who already have the Rue Stick. The ninja can swing it, however.
Yes. And Fryteeth is fading C. I mean, I can understand this play. He wants to check out the bottle probably, but we know while it doesn't lead to the Masa, it's going to lead him to go to where the Masa is. Of course, he might not even check the boxes, because that's not going to be marked.
And Chanigan is not doing a grind in the desert, but is going back to the floor that he skipped for the shards and also Tiamat. And potentially even Warmech. But likely not, because Vanilla Script Warmech is a beast.
He can go full nuclear on you quite literally, and well, you see fast, but Invis 2 is also level 8. Ouch.
And greater than less than has no shards, which is very disappointing. And the items here are very mediocre and unhelpful. But if Chanigan somehow wipes, then he will know that he can skip greater than less than on the way back up.
That's true, and that'll be a nice time save. David Hawk bottled the TNT to Defense Sword. Yes, that is some wet TNT, so, I mean, I'm not sure how much Noose Naricus can really get out of it, but I mean, he'll give over the Defense Sword anyway. Fryteeth, meanwhile, picking up some spells in Lefane.
And Lefane's Superstore is very nice. Especially in this block set where it gives you access to all of the magic right away, since you can just walk to it with a free bridge.
Alright, Fryteeth picked up some spells, and including Fast. And Chanigan, I like this play. He's doing a Saria grind. He's trying to get some levels. He has a bunch of shards. You know, he knows he could actually, you know, take on Tien. I think he would be close to done.
Yeah, I think a Tia plus a lucky Spider Floor is most of the way.
Fryteeth has picked up his Defense Sword, is putting it on the Ninja. I mean, +4, it is actually a very viable weapon.
Yeah, it has stats similar to the X-Cal, just without the elemental bonus. It would be interesting to see a flag that buffs the Defense Sword so that it has a higher crit rate than the X-Cal by a good bit. Because then Defense Sword, Best Sword might become a thing. Like, it already is, kind of, but it's hard to make a case for it.
Fryteeth, meanwhile, is heading towards C, so he's going to get his Crystal, and we'll see if he checks that Masa chest in Mitoya.
Woobear asking if there's... Oh, Woobear asking if there's been any ribbons yet. I haven't seen any ribbons. Have you, Classic Gamer?
I have not, so that is another big thing. You know, ribbons are very nice. Sure, the thief has a bunch of resistances, but he doesn't resist everything. Wall was level 1. It was white locked, but we do have access to it. But of course, protect the ninja and something could knock down the white wizard.
Yeah, so not necessary, but maybe worth taking on a couple more greed checks down here in water, or in the sea shrine, and also in spider floor with these non-marked chests to try and dig for that ribbon.
And the nice shield that we cannot use, the Aegis Shield +2. Just weak to lightning, fire, ice, and lightning, or at least they don't resist any of those. Although, if they had a flame armor and ice shield, or vice versa, they would resist everything except lightning.
I think Chanigan just left Sky without taking on Tiamat, which is an interesting play. And is coming to Ordeals, I'm assuming to... Yeah, check if there is a shard there, which I believe there is, and is going to take on that shard. So Chanigan is going around not taking on the Fiend, but trying to find shards wherever possible. And also throwing out the Iron +4 for the Ice Armor, which I think is a little bit better.
Yes, it will give that fire protection, which is very key.
True, I had forgotten about that. Normally having those protections is nice, but not huge. But when you already have protection on everything else, you're basically building an almost complete ribbon, which then the effects are really felt.
And Chanigan is now flying around. He has all the shards you need. He is going spell shopping. Meanwhile, fryteeth is going Kraken hunting. He did not check out the mermaid side, but he will probably do that after taking out Kraken, would be my guess.
Yeah, I typically take out mermaids first. I would like to ask him about his strategy of going Kraken first later, if he is up for an interview.
Fryteeth, meanwhile, encounters some lobsters. Only good place for lobsters is my dinner plate. Don't like seeing them otherwise. Right, Wall comes out on fast, and Kraken misses. Wait, and then Brack. Ooh, that was not a lot of damage there from that defense sword. Kraken gets actually a little bit of decent damage. 109. Brack comes out again. Broke it into pieces. So that's going to be 4 more shards for fryteeth. So he's actually going to be pretty close now. So picks up a few shards and mermaids, and hopefully gets the crystal and gets the masa.
And getting off the Brack always feels great. It's fun to watch too.
Oh yes. Chanigan, meanwhile, picks up his fast.
I think the lore of Brack is that it's the same as a stone touch, except with monsters they don't have soft potions, so they just collapse. And it works as instant death. And Chanigan diving into Topher with 25 shards.
Yep, about 56 minutes, 18 seconds. We have our first runner into Topher. Chanigan heading towards everyone's favorite speed bump, except this is a speed bump that leads off with Nuke.
It's always a fun challenge to try and get past Lich 1 before it gets off the nuke. And it looks like that's going to happen because Lich opened with the 25% chance whack, which did very little damage.
Yes, we saw that Rune Sword actually, I think, out-hit that Masa versus Lich.
I suppose you are the legendary on fryteeth's side.
Yep, and now fryteeth, thank you for carbonating bubbles. Well, he's going to pick up his crystal pretty shortly.
I think he already has his crystal.
Oop. Oh, that's right, that was earlier. So he is going to exit out and head to Motoya, and we'll see if he picks up that Masa.
Meanwhile, Chanigan taking out Parry 2 with a 700 damage swing from the ninja. And healing up after the Fire 3 came out.
Coming up, the first real Gatekeeper, and the only Topher Fiend that isn't susceptible to the Rune Sword. And fryteeth has just picked up the Masa. He's probably been wondering, oh, I could have gotten that so long ago, and he gotta wonder if he's now wondering if Chanigan got it a while ago, which, unfortunately, fryteeth, yes, he did.
Unfortunately for fryteeth, Chanigan did not opt to check Motoya right away. It was more about halfway through the siege that Chanigan found it. And then there's the chime, so fryteeth is getting the green light to go to Volcano. And
Meanwhile,
maybe find a power.
Meanwhile, in absolute non-news, Kraken has bodied Chanigan's White Wizard.
And not much of a surprise there. Thankfully, we haven't seen the improved Dark, and our thieves are doing quite a lot of damage. Although the Rune Sword is not strong against Kraken 2, which is the only second level fiend that it is not weak to the Rune Sword. Only being weak to the Coral Sword, I believe. Chanigan moves on triumphant.
Yeah, I think Chanigan, does he have the Coral Sword?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
I forgot to switch to it.
Yep. And he's actually going to switch to the Dragon Sword.
Which I think is still works against Tiamat too. I don't think the type bonus is any different though.
Yes, it'll still work against Tia 2. The Rune Sword with the bonuses might be a little better, but the Dragon Sword certainly is going to work. Tia Bane doesn't kill anyone. We saw the Chanigan actually making use of that level 1 wall, and ooh, 2 hits, 2 damage on the Dragon Sword, and whoop, there goes whoop.
Now it's all up to Soup and Toot. I'm throwing out a desperate brag for Toot to believe that they are doing something. Although it is a very small chance.
18
there is still
to
hope of getting
256.
through.
Yes, there is hope.
We're trying again. It lands! That's crazy!
Love to see it! Love to see it! The good old 18 and 256.
I was hoping for a possible fryteeth comeback, but now that that's happened, I want to believe that this Hofer dive is blessed. And we see a chaos terminated with only 2 party members.
They also have his vanilla scripts. As long as the Black Mage stays up, he might be able to use that fast, because vanilla script means Chaos has slow 2, not to mention Cure 4 and Duke.
Right, slow 2 and Cure 4 one after the other. Getting the first fast off right away, and also definitely want to ruse up quickly. And casting Wall on self? Or no, I don't think so. Doing ruse again first before casting Wall, which is a good decision, I think. Or actually maybe not, because Lightning 3 came out and did a ton of damage. It would have been more effective to use the Wall first.
Oh, and slow 2 it hits.
But it's good that it happened now, because the Black Mage is still up and able to cast fast again. And we are now power bonking to the moon.
No Black Mage now. Crack is ineffective. Meanwhile, Fryteeth is picking up his Power Bonk. Chaos is missing. Chaos uses Cure 4. Did Chanigan get it for his ninja? I don't think so, otherwise he'd be using it. Also, that is some decent damage. Fire 3, don't want to see that. We know Nuke is coming. Chaos misses. 5 hits, 690, that's good. Chaos misses. 540.
It's really good that the Black Mage didn't fall until right after getting the second fast off. And there is a Terminated on Chanigan. GG's.
That was clutch. You knew Nuke was coming. Meanwhile, Fryteeth is entering Topher at 1 hour, 2 minutes, 20 seconds, and we are joined in the booth by Chanigan. GG, Chanigan.
Thank you. Oh boy, I was lucky against Tia. And Chaos too.
Yes,
oh
I mean,
boy.
luck was kind of typical against Kraken, but
Yeah,
no
no,
count on
Kraken
having
did.
a white mage after that.
Yeah, it's my fault having a white mage, so should have known. I was disappointed that Fog 2 didn't do that much against Kraken. But oh well.
I think this is the first time that I've seen Brack land on a Fiend in Topher like that on stream. Or at all.
I did a few times, but yeah, no, it's always very stressful. It's stressful, it's fun. It's awesome when it lands.
That was awesome. And the fact that you're able to close that run out too.
Yeah. No, I was pretty sure I wasn't getting out of Chaos was gonna kill me because the I just had no HP, and I think Tornado was next in his spell list, and he just punched me. So got very lucky on that because the 73 HP wouldn't been enough for that. Oh, I think it's Swirl next. Anyway, I would have been dead.
I think I saw you considering putting a wall on the ninja, but then
Yeah.
opting to go with the roost stick,
yeah.
but then immediately getting punished by the lightning 3, taking
Oh,
out
yeah.
the 200
Like
health.
200 something else. I'm like, oh boy, this is going bad.
It's like,
Yeah,
oh, do I really need a ribbon? My
Yeah.
thief is already able to resist most things.
Yeah.
The roost stick was probably the better play in most situations there, but you got unlucky.
Yeah. No, I was resisting pretty much everything, but the lightning 3.
How do you feel about how quickly Chaos went through his spell script?
Happy-ish? It depends. I don't know. It felt fine. Masa +5 was just a monster, so I knew I didn't need a lot of tempers as long as I got fast, which luckily my Black Mage managed to cast it before dying. So yay on that. But no.
What's your general strategy with when to check Matoya? Do you always just wait for when you have the crystal? Or are there some conditions like having telemagic or the canoe that make it so that you check those chests early on to maybe find the Masa early?
Yeah, I don't usually go Matoya early because very often Matoya is the chime locked location, so I usually don't go there. At least during the earlier stages of the tournament, that's Matoya almost always landed on being the chime locked location. So I usually don't go there, but it would have been nice finding it earlier. Would it have changed anything? I don't think so. Because I wasn't anyway going into dungeons to defeat the fiends, so it wouldn't really matter.
Yeah, speaking of the chime lock, you didn't see it because you got the chime rather early, but Fryteeth bonked off of Volcano.
Interesting.
Meanwhile,
Volcano
Fryteeth is about to take out Tiamat.
Yeah, that Tiamat was not joking. At least a few turns I saw.
No, Tia was not joking around this seed. But
yeah, it
that
was a
Lightning 3, I think that was almost a max roll. But
yeah, it must have been.
Fryteeth gets through Tia.
On to Chaos.
It's interesting. You kept up both of your thieves, whereas Fryteeth damned one of his early. What was your
Mhm.
thinking there?
It's well, not always, but I feel like it's better to have two melee carry instead of just one. And since the two thieves were forced, so that was like, well, there goes my possible fighter. So I just had to find either Katana or something, which I didn't find, or Masa, which fortunately I found. But yeah, I would love to have the fighter instead of the second thief.
I think if this were early in the tournament, then danning one of the thieves right away would have been the better
Yeah.
play. But because it's so likely that you get forced into Sky or some other dungeon early on with this,
Mhm.
it becomes so much more useful to have all of that evade and running
Yeah.
power to speed through those
Yeah,
dungeons. which you did.
just being able to run away from fights really helps.
Yeah, Fryteeth took a little bit longer to get through Sky because he opted to do a bit of a desert grind before going in. But I think that was partially because he underestimated the power of the double thieves and instead danned one of them right away.
Okay. No, I felt like double thief was the way to go.
Meanwhile, Fryteeth taking on Chaos is power bonking and tempering. The secondary ninja, which was rezzed just as a meat shield on the Chaos fight, has been downed, and so has the white mage, placed in the first two slots. I don't know where in the spell list Chaos is. Oh, and seeing just now that the black mage did actually have life 2 for the clean magic. I don't know if we saw either runner use it. Did you use it?
Nope. Didn't. I only had 4 charges of fast and 2 going to chaos, so I wasn't risking
landed on
slow
Fryteeth.
Yeah. Oof.
Oof.
Still doing a lot of damage though, with the
Yeah,
Maza.
those tempers really stacked up.
Oh, and a crit goes through his max evade, and I have a feeling, let's double check. Yeah, Fryteeth has 4. Forget your GGs out in chat for Fryteeth because that is rough.
Yeah, he really got unlucky on that one.
Oh, Chanigan, one thing that I saw was when you're going to Titan's Trove, you did go out to the exit first with the plan of warping or exiting out to save all those steps. But then you got the one item that you could have gotten that makes that plan unhelpful.
Yep. I laughed a bit. I'm like, well, there goes the steps that I wanted to save.
And
it is hard to be mad about it, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
By the way, Fryteeth is declining an interview because he's going to calm the 9:30 race, which is actually coming up in 10 minutes. So, well, speaking of our schedule, we have another race coming up at 9:30. That is, I need to check my notes here. Quarterfinals, Phoenix, game 2, Phoenix versus Wheelbear. And of course, if needed at 11 o'clock, will be game 3 of that. I don't know if we have any winter tournament races tomorrow, but of course, tomorrow starting at, I believe it's 5 Eastern, is the Hate Memorial stream. So please, if you knew him, come out and attend that. That will be, see, that is Zelda 1, Dragon Warrior 1, and of course, FF1 randomizer communities.
No, this event, I'm very happy that the folks like from Zelda 1, Dragon Warrior, and FFR just put something together after learning of Hate's passing. I'm very proud of how quickly we put something together, and very proud of the community. Like, this is the best community for real.
It really is. And of course, I think I would like to thank both of you runners for carbonating bubbles because
Oh yeah,
that would have made
there
Kate
was no
smile.
way. There was no scenario where I wasn't carbonating bubbles.
Indeed. Well, since we have another race coming up, maybe we should be heading on to final thoughts. Chanigan, what are your final thoughts?
Uh, Again, GG fryteeth. I'm pretty high for game 2, which will happen sometime. I don't know when. We need to. I think we talk about Monday. So we'll have to confirm that. But GG's again. Thank you guys for commentating. The crew, like especially today, is a pretty very busy day. So thanks everyone for commentating, tracking, restreaming. This wouldn't have been possible without you.
All righty, my co-coms, Franklin RN, any final thoughts?
I had one more question, which we don't have a ton of time for, but maybe, Chanigan, you can give us a quick rundown. When you went to sea, you went to mermaids first, and then on the other side, fryteeth went to sea and went to kraken first. And I was wondering, what is the strategy you see around which side you choose to dive first?
I just wanted to get key items. That's all. Early in the seed, like I didn't feel like Kraken was doable, especially without any Invis 2 or Roostic. So I didn't want to risk it. And again, I just wanted to get the key items, maybe the few shards here and there, and leave. Killing
Right,
Kraken was never my was never something that I would have done in this situation.
whereas fryteeth was a little bit further on into the seed.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, have a great evening, everyone. Stick around for our next match. It will be great. And again, a big thank you to our restreamer, Thavian Hawk, and tracker, Sulitia. And have a great evening once again.